have mercy on us and him. God, what a delightfully weird show. Welcome back, Video Creeps. It's time for another Chucky episode, episode 7 specifically. And much like the doll who coined the phrase, it's time to play. But first, do me a favor and like this video. Give it up for Chucky, because that helps the both of us. Let's get into it. Now, this episode starts with like a black and white confessional. Like as the episode will go on, you'll learn like why we're doing confessionals and shit. But immediately, like as soon as I saw that, I was just like, oh, Father Bryce is being nosy. Since like in the last episode, he had just learned about Chucky, I just assumed that he was like, they're not going to tell me if I don't bring God into this. But it picks up in a really great place. Like it picks off with this great standoff between like Dr. Mixter and then like Kyle comes in with the gun. They're both just like doing the Spider-Man, everyone's pointing at each other thing. And I loved it. I like that a lot. It made me excited. Made me super pumped up because, you know, this is the first time that Kyle and Andy are in the same fucking room this season. Like, it's exciting stuff. If only there was more excitement. I gotta think that just because they've gone down this road so many times, that's why they like put off their big hello, because eventually they do have like a couple sweet moments in this episode, honestly. It's just that initial one, that number one, like, I thought you were dead, or fucking, I haven't seen you in forever. I thought there'd be more emotion there, and when there wasn't, I was just like, oh, cool, so only I give a fuck. Nice. Like, even in that specific scene, like, she was like warmer to the kids than she was to like Andy. Like, bitch, isn't that where you stock all your like, what the fuck? That's your family, man. Now in this scene, like, everybody becomes wise to what we all already knew was gonna happen. Like, they can't kill fucking Chucky yet because they need to get Nika Chucky out of Nika Chucky to get into good guy, the bad guy Chucky. By the way, a lot of you guys, you gave me a lot of pushback last week about like, it's not good Chucky, like he's just bad. And fuck you guys. See, I watched the behind the scenes. I know, man. Though before we move on from this like little intro here, I do want to talk about how Dr. Mixer did make a really interesting like little note that I think like puts a pin in like a Chucky lifelong thing here. She makes a specific note to talk about how like that's it for human body. Like Chucky had his fun, he wanted to do it. That's always what we've known Chucky to want to do and shit. And now it's just like, no, plastic, durable. That's the new road, guys. Which would make sense because the only 2 times that we've ever seen Chucky like inhabit a body, it's not gone well. He killed Alice because of that shit. It's amazing that Nika gets out of this episode alive, which we will talk about Nika, but first let's talk about Tiffany, who is just adorable in this episode. Like, she's on the lam, she's running away, she's like getting curly fries and throwing the cash. She is so fucking cute. And like, I'm just gonna say it, she is not the only star of this scene. They did that shit on purpose. But she's like frazzled. She's like ready to get back into the doll body. She's already like making it make sense in her head. She's like, I could buy 1 million doll toys and like no one would ever suspect the doll. Meanwhile, Jennifer Tilly is just like, bitch, no, you fucked up my life. Tiffany's just like, them's the breaks, bitch. Fucking smell you later. Now I'm just gonna jump to this because it's fucking, it should be spoken about. The Angel of Nadine. Pretty interesting choice, guys. Pretty interesting. I mean, I'd be lying if I said the scene wasn't a little cringe for me, personally. That said, it's doing this really like interesting thing in my head where like, I also like, I don't flat out hate that they did that. In fact, if they wanted to do a thing where like Nadine was just like this like angel on fucking like Lexi's side, and that's how we kept Nadine in the fold and shit, I wouldn't mind that. I always thought it was weird that like only Chucky is the one who figured out like supernatural shit, and then everything else in this world is grounded in reality. Even like the guy that he learned the shit from wasn't as advanced as Chucky and shit. Why can't we see some other supernatural elements? Like, you know what it is? It's because you guys can't handle it. You can't handle us doing other weird shit. But like, there's never been another doll. Just some next motherfucker, like some other dude who's like had his own story and shit. I'm just trying to make a point that like in this world, there's possibilities that have not been like untapped possibilities. Why is it just Chucky that gets to do shit? So with that said, you know, Nadine being like this fucking guardian angel, why not? Fucking let's do it. She could do it. She could do it. But only Lexi can see her, all right? That's how we're gonna do it. Though, if she did visit like Devin and Jake, like it would be kind of cool for them to eventually be like, I saw Nadine. Can she see us at the same time? That'd be cool. Lexi has her own storyline in this episode that like leads up to a thing that does like end up mattering, like her at the chapel with like Sister Catherine holding the gun on her does matter, but it also kind of like didn't in a lot of ways for me. Like I didn't need to care about that. The only thing that I thought was kind of great was that like Lexi like spoke that fucking real. Lexi was like, bitch, we're not friends. Y'all don't even like each other and shit. Even Chucky like made a comment on that. He's like, you guys shared a room. Not one blowjob. Not one fucking like, let me just put it in my mouth. It was something that we already had been kind of seeing throughout this season. And then like, it kind of came to a head in this episode where they finally spoke about it, where it's kind of like, what is this group of friends? Like, what are we doing here? Is this fucking worth it? Now we learned a little bit about those confessions and shit because everybody has to be like pure of heart. So they all have to do their own little confession. But I thought it was really interesting that the confessions that we see like mimic every chapter of the franchise. Like we get one from Andy, we get one from Nika, we get one from Glenda, we get one from like Dr. Mixer. Every chapter of the franchise, it's like these are the people that we're going to focus on, which is also fantastic about this episode in general. For the exception of Tiffany and Glenn, everybody is in the same room, which is really fucking cool to see. It's like when I'll talk superheroes. You guys love superheroes, right? It's like when Batman and like all the other ones come together. I don't know superheroes, but even so, like super fucking cool to see all of these franchise survivors come through. Seeing Andy and Nika meet for the first time for real, that's great. With Kyle, like there's this need. I do like the kids in the show, but there's this like need for me to just get this focus on the adults. I want to see a full Andy and Kyle episode. It kills me that we still haven't gotten that. With Nika coming in, I thought that was really cool. Now they could all be like friends and shit. Like it's awesome. I want to see those conversations. Now the kids get to meet fucking Glenda, which is also really cool, but they don't really like fraternize a whole lot. Though like they're in the same age bracket. They could be friends if they wanted to. Or I guess not, because Glenda would be like 2 years older than the rest of the kids or some shit, right? How old's the rest of the kids? Now, there was there's like a bit of like shoehorned sexiness in this episode as well. I don't know who that's for. I don't know why we needed like Father Rice to turn to like Daddy Bryce. You know what I mean? Who's out here like fucking beating off to like idle hands, being like, I just can't wait for him to take off his shirt. And like the lighting was sexy. They wanted it to be hot. That was just Don Mancini being like, I can, so like I want to see it. They say film what you want to see, man. There was a couple really cool like callbacks to Bride of Chucky in this thing, like the exorcism for dummies, much like the fucking voodoo for dummies that we saw. Like those are great. I wonder if like For Dummies has seen that. Maybe they're a fan and now they're like gonna produce these books and shit. Like I'd be down. Now something also that I wanted to bring up real quick, just because it got my brain going. It's right in the conversation when like Tiffany and Glenn are like having the conversation in the car, and then like Jennifer Tilly like runs out into the street and like gets killed fucking Bride of Chucky style. That was awesome to see as well. But Glenn says this thing, they're like, you never gave us a choice, motherfucker. I'm paraphrasing, but that's the energy and shit. I gotta disagree there. I mean, like, what, you think you had more choices as a supernaturally possessed doll? Is that really what you thought you could, that was where you were going to succeed? Maybe if you did like an OnlyFans or something as the doll, catch a niche crowd. But like shit, dude, like you have way more opportunities as an actual person. Like you even got to choose your gender fluidity and shit. Like, so let's not play that you don't have choices game. You have choices and everyone's playing the game with you and shit. Like don't talk right to your mother. Now, not just fucking Glenn and Tiffany, like we also have a little bit of a conversation between like Chucky and Glenda, which like that bummed me out because I want more. I want those characters to finally know their origin, where they came from. They're piecing it together. We do have one more episode left, even though this fucking episode has big fucking season finale vibes, which is great if the next episode is gonna just tee us up for like the next season and shit, which is what they're gonna do. But I wanted that conversation to be better. I want Chucky to just fucking tell him, like, be like, yeah, no, this is, he kind of started to talk about it when he was like, you got a raw deal. What do you want? You want more fucking details than that? Like fucking, infer. But it doesn't go down that way. Like, unfortunately, like, but it is still great. I love seeing the Glens talk to the parents. It really is something that brings me joy in watching this show. Now, of course, the most exciting thing of this episode is the exorcism of Chucky. Like, what fun. But it's not just like the callbacks to the exorcism or even like seeing Hannibal Lecter Chucky. Like, it's the way that they're going about it. Like, Chucky down, laying there, like Jake has to have a conversation with good Chucky, where good Chucky's like, am I gonna go to hell? And Jake's like, yeah, dog, you going to hell. Good Chucky's like, fucking, is purgatory an option? Can we go there? And even when bad Chucky is on the table and he's just like, I killed your mom, I killed your babysitter, ooh, a lot of memories in here. Then the exorcism works, and then he like goes into like Daddy Bryce, right? That's who it is. It's not Father Bryce anymore. And he just like explodes on his way out and shit. I don't even know how Chucky did that. My buddy Brad, who like fucking I do that figures with, there's a link to that down in the description of this video. Go click that. He like was live texting me while he was watching the episode. He was just like, that was gratuitous. And I agree. I was so bloody. Why did we need that? In this scene, there's also like a great thing. I watched this episode with my girlfriend Jess, and like she pointed out that I always laugh whenever like Nika gets hit. I don't know why. It's like very slapstick humor that like just works for me every fucking time. But I liked when like Chucky came through Nika real quick. He's like, I'll be good. What the fuck? Like, let me party too, motherfucker. Now all of that is like cut short when like fucking Sister Catherine comes in and like tries to like almost kill Lexi. And like, yo, I'm gonna be real with you guys. At that point, I was kind of like, if she dies, she dies. Straight up, just ready to let go of Lexi as a character. But of course, that's not what goes on. Dr. Mixer comes in, grabs Chucky, runs out, and then a dope scene where Andy gets to like take out a gun, and then he like shoots Chucky's jaw off, and then just keeps on fucking pumping him with. It just was such a fun scene, and it felt really good. And then from like, that's the whole thing. Like from this point in the episode on, it's just like mad emotional. Like it felt like a season finale in that way. But the climax of that, like oh my God, like watching adult Andy and Kyle like kind of do like a little callback thing to the ending of Child's Play 2. And I already was kind of worked up. I was like choked up, dude. Like I almost like fucking, there was almost there was a tickle in my eye. I love that. It felt very much like that might be the last that we see of these characters for a while. Like that was the bookend to those characters. God forbid, I don't want that. I want way more adventures with Andy and Kyle. But if that was the way that we said goodbye to those final survivors, as like franchises do, that would be a really beautiful place. But again, not forever. Fuck that shit. I want those guys. I'm greedy, bitch. Now I can't end this video without talking about Glenn getting shot. Nico's finally gonna have her moment. She had a gun on fucking Tiffany, and she was like, I don't want to kill you. Gotta kill you. Look at me. You did this. But then like Glenn jumps in front of the mom because like, you know, they just have that relationship. The Tiffany Glenn relationship, no matter how toxic we see it get, there's still this like very strong bond there between those two. And I think like there's not a fucking person in the world that does not think that like we're gonna get Glenn into that fucking doll, right? But the real question is Glenda gonna get in that doll as well? Like, you know, they were doing this whole like, there's something missing, I don't feel complete and shit. And maybe Glenn will get in there and be like, yo, this is the shit. I'm shocked that there's another episode to look forward to next week. And I am excited to see like everything that we are leading up to for it. But what did you think about this episode? Did you dig it as much as I did? Let me know down in the comments below. And of course, another reminder just to like this video because that helps my channel out a shit ton. If you're new, please subscribe and then hit that notification bell if you wanna, you know, watch my videos again. Check out all the links in the description of this one, and I will see you guys on the next video. Peace, video creeps.